All right. Building self-confidence, and what does it mean to have like radical self-confidence? Episode 2, let's get into it. It's called Building Your Confidence Muscle. And it's building that muscle in yourself as a woman, as a mom, as a wife. Like, confidence is something that so many of us women, I feel like in particular, can improve upon. And it's confidence in everything, from how you choose to style your hair, what you choose to wear, what you choose to do, how you act, the decisions that you make, even like speaking up and saying your opinion. All of those things. And some of us get so caught up in like what to do, right? And we like get caught up in this indecision because we don't have confidence in ourselves to make that decision. But you know what? You know what to do, right? It all stems from, I think, feeling confident enough in yourself. So that's why I believe that so many of us women need to be empowered to be more confident and to take up more space, especially in this world of social media and like perfection and all of that comparison. Just take up a space as your own and as who you are. It's so important. So I started thinking about that, and I started thinking, okay, what is the definition of confidence? And how can we tap more into that sense of confidence within ourselves? So I went to Google. I'm going to read two definitions, or I'm going to read the definition that I found in Google. So the definition of confidence, according to Google, is the feeling or belief that one can rely on someone or something, a firm trust. It also stated that confidence is a feeling of self-assurance arising from one's appreciation of one's own abilities or qualities. It's a state of feeling certain about the truth of something. Now, when I read those 3 definitions, the first 2 honestly just stuck with me. And the first one, really, like, the word that stuck with me was the word rely. And it says the feeling or belief that one can rely on someone or something, firm trust. So I replaced that with the feeling or belief that one can rely on oneself, firm trust in yourself, right? So the question then becomes, can you rely on yourself? And can you keep the promises that you make to yourself? Even think of it like with easy things, like telling yourself you're going to go on walks daily, or telling yourself you're going to start journaling, or telling yourself you're going to follow whatever budget. It can apply to anything in your life, right? It's about having the confidence to believe in yourself that you're going to actually like follow through with that promise to yourself, and to do what you told yourself that A, you wanted to do, without making excuses about doing it. And like, let's be clear, I'm not talking about excuses that are like emergencies. I'm talking about when you tell yourself that you would do something and then you don't do it because like you just, I don't know, didn't feel like it. You thought about doing it yesterday and then today you're like, Fred, I don't want to do it anymore, right? And if your answer is no, right, like that you cannot rely on yourself, that you're not keeping those promises that you made to yourself, then the question you need to ask yourself is why? Like, why are you not keeping those promises? Why can't you rely on yourself? Why are you making excuses? Like, and what excuses are you saying? How are you buffering? Buffering is something I like to say when you are doing something instead of doing what you said you were going to do. So for example, you're like avoiding X thing. So let's say, for example, you like told yourself that you were going to, I don't know, go on a walk, exercise, and you see the pile of laundry and you decide, okay, I'm going to do the laundry, or I'm going to pick up the dishes, or I'm going to clean the kitchen, instead of doing the thing that you told me that you were going to do, that you told yourself you were going to do, right? So how are you distracting yourself from keeping your word to yourself? It's so important to track those things, because those are small decisions that you're making that change the way that you are relying on you, that then affect your self-confidence. And those little things can decrease your self-confidence. And it's because you start to teach yourself that you can't rely, again, there's that word rely, that you can't rely on yourself, that you don't keep those promises that you make to yourself. And that slowly chips away at your self-confidence, right? So there's the first part of the definition. The next part of the definition is a feeling of self-assurance arising from one's appreciation or acknowledgement of one's own abilities or qualities. And I feel like this goes to say like your abilities as a woman, as a person, as a mom, as a friend, as a wife, as all of those things. And the question is, how do you feel about yourself, right? Like in those areas. And I think so many of us get caught up in, again, this compare and despair, looking at others' lives and thinking like, man, I wish mine was different. And you're not appreciating or you're not acknowledging your own strengths, right? And so instead of appreciating your own, as the definition states, you're criticizing yourself and you put yourself down. And subconsciously, you're making yourself feel like less than you actually are. And this, again, chips away at you, at your self-confidence. So think about what would it look like maybe if you started to appreciate yourself more and acknowledge yourself more instead, right? If you are proud of the life you created, if you are proud of the mom you were, if you are proud how you were showing up, right? How would you handle a situation if you were showing up confident, proud, shoulders back, smiling, proud, right? Would you question yourself less? Probably so, right? Would it change how you viewed yourself? Yeah, probably so, I'm sure. And of course, there are always things like that we can improve upon, right? Like we're all humans, right? We all have those things, we can all be better. But when you're thinking about confidence and working on being more confident, it's about learning to, like it says, rely on yourself. So here's a trick that I love to use. And it's honestly about learning to ask yourself the question using a scale. So you ask yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, can I rely on myself? 10 being 100%, 1 being absolutely not, right? So on a scale of 1 to 10, can I rely on myself? And ask yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do I appreciate or how much do I acknowledge myself, my qualities, my abilities? And the important thing is to be completely honest with whatever number comes up as an answer to that question, right? Whatever number comes up, and just be so honest with yourself about it, right? How would you rate yourself in? Can you rely on yourself, right? And how much do you appreciate or acknowledge yourself, right? And then once you get that number, what you can do is then, let's say, for example, you pick the number 6 and you say, okay, I would rate myself as a number 6, right? Then you start to move to the next step and you say, okay, well, why am I choosing to rate myself as a number 6, right? Why not less than 6? Why not a 10? And what can you do to move yourself from a 6 to a 7? And I say move yourself from a 6 to a 7 because small steps are so important. It doesn't need to be huge. It doesn't need to be overwhelming, right? It's like a marathon runner, right? You can't just wake up one day and run a marathon. If you've never, ever run a marathon in your life, you have to train, you have to practice, you have to make it like a part of your being. You make it a part of who you are, right? Every day you work on it, every day you chip at it, and every day you get better. So you can't just go from 0 to 100, you slowly move there. So that's why the same goes with this, right? Maybe like I said, you rated yourself, or you said you were a 6 in appreciating yourself, in acknowledging your capabilities, in relying and depending on yourself, right? How can you move that feeling from a 6 to a 7? different things you can do. Maybe you want to get a calendar, like print out a calendar with all the days of the month on it. And then let's say every morning or every evening, you just write down one thing that you acknowledge about yourself, one thing that you appreciate about yourself. And at the end of the month, you're going to have 30 things on that calendar, right? This will show you two things. This will show you that A, you can rely on yourself to do what you said you were going to do. You have visual proof in a month that you will show up and write something down in the box every day, right? And then it also shows you what you actually appreciate about yourself. So it's like twofold, right? And it makes it a part of your routine to show up for yourself, love on yourself, and learn how to look at yourself like through that lens, which is so different than the critical lens, right? The self-appreciation lens, which helps to grow your self-confidence. So maybe you do that. Maybe you decide that you want to start putting more effort into like your outward appearance, because the way that you feel on the outside, when you feel like you're more put together, or when you feel like you got your makeup on, or when you feel like you got a cute dress, or you got some cute earrings that would do it for me. If you got some cute earrings on, you feel more confident on the inside. And that in turn just changes the way that you show up, okay? So maybe that's something you want to do for yourself. Maybe you just want to start speaking up for yourself more. It can be that simple. Instead of thinking about saying something, you actually just like say it. You stand up for yourself. You stand up for your needs. You actually say your opinion. Maybe you say where you want to go to dinner. Like maybe you feel like having maybe you say what you want to do for dinner. For so long, I feel like, I say that because for so long, I feel like I even censored like myself. And I know so many of us do that. We just like censor ourselves. And when you do that, it's like almost telling yourself like what you think doesn't matter, what you think is not valid. When in fact, it's the complete opposite, right? It matters so much because it matters to you. So doing things like that, even again, changing small things that you choose to do for you. It doesn't need to be like a completely overhaul. Doing small things or choosing to do one small thing over the period of a month can totally change and move you from that 6 to that 7. And then from there you go from the 7, maybe now you want to go for an 8. And you slowly start to add things into your world, into your routine, into your daily rituals that support you feeling more confident in you, right? And it's so cool because in learning to be more self-confident in yourself, you actually, I feel like, learn more just about you. You learn what makes you feel confident, not to mention the fact that the effect that it will have on your kids, your family. You end up showing up in the world as your most like authentic, real, true self. No ifs, no ands, no buts. It's just you. You just show up, right? And you share that with the world, and your kids will see that. They emulate it, right? They're encouraged to do the same. It's awesome. So, so cool. So, cheers to you this week. And tapping into your self-confidence one day at a time. So get out there and do you. I'll see you next week.